Now, in perspective, from reinventing and perfecting the whodunnit plotline to creating lovable archetype characters, the legacy of Agatha Christie lives on 50 years after her death. Outsold only by the Bible and Shakespeare, the author's works have been translated into more than 100 languages and maintain their wide appeal. They include classics like Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, and Then There Were None. To talk more about her legacy going forward, I'm joined now by James Prichard, who's the chairman and CEO of Agatha Christie Limited and the author's great-grandson. Thank you very much for being with us on France 24.
Good morning. Nice to be here.
What do you think, or why do you think Agatha Christie's stories continue to resonate even now with younger generations who live in a very different world?
Well, it is the stories, I think. I think very simply, she had a genius for plotting, and the thing about great stories and great plots is that they don't age with time. They stand the test of time, and they work across borders, because a great story is a great story, whether it's in English, French, Chinese, or Japanese. And she just had that ability to create, invent these plots, loads of them. She wrote 66 full-length novels, and therefore we are still there.
And even now in today's modern society, you know, with technology changing everything, do you think the themes are still universal and everyone can relate to them?
Well, the books are essentially about people, and I'm afraid, or happily, we as people have not changed. We still have the same issues, we still have the same idiosyncrasies, we still have the same failings, and that is what these books are about. They are about the ability of people, of us, to go to the depths of, I guess, depravity to some extent, and to commit the ultimate sin, which is murder.
And if I'm not mistaken, over 30 of her novels have been adapted into feature films. How do you go about this process? I mean, are you selective in which studios you work with, who can adapt these stories, and do you have any involvement in how the story is told?
We do have involvement, yes. We are very careful with who we work with. Like a lot of sons, I spend most of my life trying to ignore what my father tried to teach me. But actually, one of the things I did listen to him about was that in business, you pick your partners, and once you've chosen them, you trust them. You pick your partners carefully, but once you've chosen them, you trust them implicitly. We have been very lucky with the people we have worked with. Most recently, we worked with 20th Century Fox to make the movies where Kenneth Branagh played Poirot. We try, and I mean, I believe that our role is at the script stage. I don't tell a director where to put the camera, but I believe a good script is essential to the making of a good movie, and we believe that we help in the making of those scripts. We think we understand what makes a great Agatha Christie adaptation, and we hope we help in the making of that.
And what about when it comes to adapting the story to fit more into modern times?
Well, I mean, the thing about the stories is that they can be adapted. I mean, we actually haven't done that much of it. I mean, we did a TV show in France, Les Petits Meurtres, which, I'm sorry for my French accent, but which used different times to the stories. I mean, ending most recently in the 1970s. We haven't done that much contemporary adaptation, but I actually think they would work, and certainly some of them would work, because again, it's about people. And yes, there are differences. You'd have to deal with some of the issues around technology and that kind of thing, but actually the basic stories probably work. A murdermystery is, by nature, doesn't really change as long as you can, you know, take out the technology or involve the technology in a different way. So, you know, there is no, I think, barrier to adapting these to fit the modern day.
And what about when it comes to using interactive media or immersive storytelling, or even artificial intelligence to further Agatha Christie's works? Do you see opportunities, risks in there?
I think there's everything, but I have you know, I've spent my life living with the benefits of the human's ability for creative genius, and I have no doubt that there are creatives out there who will find interesting and new ways of using new technologies to adapt my great-grandmother's stories and to help share them with the wider public. I mean, I'm afraid I do not have a creative bone in my body, but I think there are people who have creative bones who will find ways of telling stories in new ways, whether that's in shorter forms, whether that's using different forms of technology.
And are there any personal memories that you have? I mean, you mentioned that advice that you were given about running a business and working with business partners, but do you have any other personal memories or stories from your family relating to how you approach leading Agatha Christie Limited?
Well, I mean, I grew up, I mean, obviously, I actually did meet my great-grandmother, but I was 5 or 6 when she died. I do remember the day she died, which was yesterday, 50 years ago. I remember coming home from school and she was the lead item on the 6 o'clock news, which I think even then I realized was a big thing. But, you know, after that, my grandmother, who was her only daughter, died in about 2004. My father is still with us. And so, you know, there were constant stories around my great-grandmother. My father has always referred to her as the best listener he ever met, which I think is actually both one of her skills or strengths as a human being, as a grandmother, but also actually what made her the great author that she was. She would listen to conversations. She would hear what other people said, and I think that's where her understanding of human nature came from, her ability to listen and to understand and genuinely listen and hear what people were saying and why they were saying it. So I think, you know, there's lots in there, and, you know, there were, yeah.
And do you have a favorite story from Agatha Christie?
Favorite book?
Yes.
I mean, you know, I love the traditional bestsellers. I love And Then There Were None. I love Murder on the Orient Express. There is a reason why they are the best-selling books all over the world. They are geniuses of plotting. They are geniuses of deflection, of, you know, of hiding things from readers. I also have a soft spot at the moment for Miss Marple, and I think A Murder Is Announced is a really, really clever piece of writing, and I think it's perhaps, you know, perhaps her best written book. It's a really interesting depiction of a particular England post Second World War. But actually, one of the most remarkable thing, and this actually is sort of shown in the sales figures of the books, which continue to grow bizarrely, you know, 50 years after her death, 100 years after she started writing. The fact is that there aren't bad ones, and I think that's the, you know, the level that she maintained throughout whatever it was, 50 years of writing and 66 full-length novels, is unbelievable. There weren't duds in the middle of all of that.
It certainly makes me want to grab a book and a cup of tea and spend the afternoon reading those books. But just before we leave you, do you have an idea of what you would like your great-grandmother's legacy to look like another 50 years from now?
I think, you know, I was speaking to someone who actually interviewed my great-grandmother for The Observer in 1969, and she said to me that Agatha Christie's reputation is bigger and wider than it was even when she was alive. And I think the fact that we are still talking about her 50 years after her death is an extraordinary fact. The fact that we are, you know, launching a massive series with Netflix this week, 7 Dials, I think that is just an extraordinary thing. I think if we are still talking about Agatha Christie, which I think we will be now. I mean, you know, I grew up as a child with people saying that maybe at some point, you know, this thing would tail off. I think we've reached the point now where we know we will be talking about Agatha Christie in 50 years' time. But I think if we're still talking about her in the same way, with the same respect, the same love, the same admiration in 50 years' time, I think that will be a great part of her legacy.
A wonderful achievement, certainly. James Prichard, Chairman and CEO of Agatha Christie Limited, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.